Hey everyone, ready for another deep dive. Today we are looking at something pretty amazing. It's a new AI system called Agent Laboratory. And get this, the research paper describing it literally just came out on January 8th, 2025. So we're talking hot off the presses stuff.
Yeah, very cutting edge.
To give you the quick rundown, Agent Laboratory is like a super-powered research assistant. It basically uses AI to, well, help humans do machine learning research. Pretty wild, right?
It is. It's designed to kind of be like a supercharged research assistant for scientists. Scientists working in machine learning, that is.
So let's imagine I'm a scientist. How would I actually use this thing?
Okay, well, picture this. You're a scientist, you've got a ton of research ideas, but you don't have enough time or resources to really chase them all down, right?
Yeah, I can relate to that.
Agent Laboratory is designed to help scientists test their ideas, but much faster and much more efficiently than they could on their own.
So it's almost like having
Right.
like an extra pair of hands in the lab.
Exactly. Or maybe even an extra brain. Yeah. Okay, that's a pretty compelling picture you're painting.
It's a whole pipeline of AI agents. Each one has a special role to play.
Oh, interesting.
There's a PhD agent, a postdoc agent, there's even an ML engineer agent. They all work together, just like a human research team would.
When you say agent, I'm kind of picturing like, a little robot in a lab coat running around.
Right.
But I'm guessing it's a little bit more abstract than that.
Yeah, it's definitely more software than hardware.
So how does this all actually work then?
Okay, so it all starts with a human scientist. The scientist gives the AI system a research idea, right?
Okay.
And then from there, the AI kind of takes over.
Wow.
It can do a ton of stuff. It does the literature review, designs the experiments, it even writes the code, runs the experiments, analyzes the results, and then it even generates a research report to summarize everything.
Hold on, wait. It writes code, like actual functional code?
Yeah, functional code.
That's incredible.
It uses something called Mail Solver. It's this tool that's specifically designed to generate, test, and refine machine learning code, all autonomously.
I have so many questions about that. But, okay, even putting the code aside for a second, I'm thinking about control, right? Like, how much control does the scientist actually have over this whole process?
That's a good question. And it's something the researchers definitely thought about. So Agent Laboratory has something called co-pilot mode.
Okay.
In co-pilot mode, the scientist can give feedback and guidance at each stage.
Okay.
So it's more like a collaboration between the AI and the scientist.
So it's not like you just set the AI loose and hope for the best.
Exactly, yeah.
There's a real partnership happening.
Yeah, the scientist can steer the AI, refine the experiments, just generally check the AI's work, make sure things are on track.
That makes me feel a little bit better. So they obviously had to put the system to the test, right?
They did.
Did they use like different AI models to see how it performed?
They tested it with 3 different models, GPT-4o, O1 Mini, and O1 Preview.
Okay.
And some of the results were really mind-blowing.
Yeah.
For instance, GPT-4o was able to complete an entire research project in just 19 minutes.
19 minutes.
And for only $2.33.
Wow. That's faster than it takes me to decide what I want for dinner.
Right.
Amazing.
It is pretty amazing.
But I'm also wondering, are there any trade-offs with that kind of speed?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
There are always trade-offs. While GPT-4o was the fastest and the cheapest, it wasn't always the most reliable.
Okay.
O1 Preview, on the other hand, was slower and a little more expensive,
Yeah.
but it had a 95.7% success rate.
Yeah.
So it seems like, researchers will have to balance their needs. Do they need speed and low cost, or do they need reliability?
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so we have speed on one end and reliability on the other. What about the research reports themselves? Like, could you actually submit one of these AI-generated reports to a scientific journal?
So they had both human reviewers and an AI reviewer look at the reports. The AI reviewer actually gave the reports really high scores,
Oh, wow.
higher than the average for papers accepted at a top machine learning conference.
So the AI thought they were great. What about the humans?
The human reviewers were a bit more critical, I'd say. They said the reports were well-structured and informative, but they didn't quite have the same level of polish or insight as a human-written paper.
Okay, so it sounds like the human touch is still important, at least for those really nuanced insights. So what else makes this system so, I don't know, intriguing?
Let's look at some of the specific tasks it can handle, like the literature review, for example.
Yeah, okay, lead the way. So we've got this AI that can write research papers super fast, but what about the quality of those papers? Like, how deep do they actually go? I'm especially curious about the literature review process. How does Agent Laboratory handle that?
Oh, it's pretty sophisticated, actually. The PhD agent, remember we talked about that?
Yeah.
That one is in charge of the literature review.
Hmm.
And it doesn't just do a basic keyword search or anything like that.
Okay.
It actually uses the Archive API.
Archive OPI. For folks who might not be familiar with that, can you just give us a quick explanation?
Sure, yeah. Archive is basically an online repository. Scientists can share their research papers there before they're officially published.
Okay.
So it's a great way to get early access to, the latest research.
So this AI is tapping into like this huge pool of scientific knowledge, but I imagine there are tons of papers on any given topic. How does it narrow down the search? How does it make sure it's not just pulling random articles?
That's where it gets really smart.
Yeah.
Instead of just grabbing everything, it summarizes the top 20 most relevant papers based on the research topic, of course.
Okay.
And then you, the scientist, you get to choose
Oh, okay.
which of those papers you want to read more about.
Okay.
And you decide which ones to actually include in the final literature review.
That's pretty cool. But wouldn't that still be overwhelming? Like I'm imagining just piles and piles of papers.
Yeah, it could be. But the AI is constantly learning and refining its search based on the papers you select.
Oh, okay.
So the more you interact with it, the more tailored the literature review becomes.
So it's almost like having a research assistant who not only fetches the papers, but also kind of pre-reads them and highlights the important parts.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we've got a solid literature review. What happens next?
Next up is the planning stage.
Yeah.
This is where the PhD agent and the postdoc agent, remember those two?
Yeah.
They get together and they create a detailed research plan. They actually have a virtual conversation with each other to discuss the best approach.
Hold on, a virtual conversation? Like they're actually talking to each other.
Well, not talking in the traditional sense,
Right.
but they are communicating and bouncing ideas off each other.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's like a brainstorming session, but
Mhm.
between two AIs. And of course, you, the human researcher, you can jump in at any point to give your feedback or guidance.
So it's a real back and forth between the human and the AI.
Exactly.
I like that. Okay, so once the research plan is all finalized, what happens then?
Then the postdoc agent, it issues something called a plan command.
Okay.
And this kicks off the next stage, which is data preparation.
Data preparation.
And this is where the ML engineer agent comes in.
Right.
So its job is to write the code
Okay.
that prepares the data for the experiments.
All based on the research plan that they just came up with.
Exactly.
This AI is really starting to sound like it has a whole research team at its disposal.
It kind of does.
But is it just grabbing any random data set off the internet?
And no, not at all.
No.
The ML engineer agent has access to this huge collection of data sets through something called Hugging Face.
Hugging Face.
Yeah, it's a platform that hosts machine learning data sets and models. And it even has this special command, a search HF command, to help it find the best data set for the specific task.
That's pretty impressive. And I'm assuming the human researcher can still kind of, look over the code at this stage.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Human oversight is key throughout this entire process.
Good. Okay, so we've got the literature review, the research plan, the data is prepped. Are we finally ready for the experiments?
We are. This is where MLSolver comes in.
Right. That tool we talked about earlier.
Exactly. It takes the research plan and the prepared data,
Yeah.
and it starts generating and testing code to run the actual machine learning experiments.
Okay, but how does the AI know if the code is actually working? Like, is a human scientist checking it at every step?
That's the really interesting part. It uses a reward system,
Okay.
and this reward system is powered by, you guessed it, another AI.
Wow. AI is all the way down.
Right.
Okay, so this other AI, what does it do?
So this AI evaluates the code. It looks at how well it aligns with the research goals.
Oh, yeah.
Assigns it a score, and then it uses that feedback to refine the code.
So it's like it's a self-learning system that's constantly improving its coding skills based on feedback from another AI.
Exactly.
That's pretty mind-blowing. But even for humans, running experiments can take forever.
Yeah.
Did they say how long this stage takes with Agent Laboratory?
They did. They actually provided some detailed runtime statistics for each stage.
Yeah.
And remember how we were talking about GPT-4 being super fast?
Yeah.
Well, it completed the entire process from literature review to final report in about 19 minutes.
The whole thing.
The whole thing, yeah.
19 minutes, that's That's incredible.
It's really fast.
Okay, so the experiments are done. We've got the results. Does it go straight to writing the report then?
Not quite. Before the report is generated, the PhD and postdoc agents, they need to analyze and interpret the data.
Okay.
So this is the results interpretation phase.
So they're not just spitting out raw data. They're actually trying to make sense of it.
Exactly.
Wow.
Okay. They're looking for patterns, drawing conclusions, trying to identify any surprising or unexpected findings. The best part is you, the human researcher, you're part of this discussion too.
Oh, okay.
You can ask questions, offer your insights, even challenge the AI's interpretations.
I really like how much this system emphasizes human-AI collaboration. It's not just a, set it and forget it kind of thing.
Right.
Okay, so we have the literature review, the plan, the experiments are run, the results are interpreted. Are we finally ready for the grand finale, the research report?
We are. This is where the professor agent and a tool called Paper Solver come in.
Paper Solver. Tell me more about that.
It's this AI module specifically designed to generate and refine research papers.
Okay.
It takes all the information that's been gathered in the previous stages, the literature review, the plan, the results, the interpretations, and it weaves it all together into a structured, coherent report.
Wait, hold on. The AI is writing the entire paper. Like it's coming up with the arguments, organizing the sections, citing the sources.
Yep, all of that.
And it's not just a jumble of text. It's actually like following the standard format of a scientific paper.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of abstract, introduction, methods, section, results, discussion, all that.
Yep, all the sections. It even uses LaTeX, which is the typesetting system that most scientists use.
This is incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
But, okay, how good can an AI-written paper actually be? Did they have any, actual humans review these reports?
They did. They had evaluations done by both human scientists and an AI-powered reviewer that was designed to simulate the peer review process.
Oh, interesting. So they had kind of like a robot reviewer.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I'm dying to hear about the results of these evaluations.
Well, the results were pretty interesting.
Tell me everything.
Let's start with the AI reviewer.
Right.
It actually gave the agent laboratory reports really high scores.
Wow.
In fact, the average score was even higher than the average score for papers accepted at a top machine learning conference.
So the AI thought these reports were top-notch. What about the human reviewers? Were they as impressed?
The human reviewers were a bit more discerning, I would say.
Okay.
They said the reports were, well-structured, informative, followed all the rules of scientific writing, but they felt like they lacked a certain depth of analysis and a certain originality of thought.
So it's kind of like the difference between a student who can perfectly recite the textbook and a student who can actually apply the knowledge in a creative and insightful way.
That's a great analogy, yeah.
The AI is still learning.
Exactly.
It hasn't quite reached that level of sophisticated critical thinking yet.
Right.
But given how fast AI is developing, it does make you wonder what the future holds.
It does.
Did the researchers, did they share any thoughts on that?
Yeah, they were actually quite optimistic about the potential of agent laboratory.
Okay.
They believe that as AI keeps evolving, agent laboratory could become like a vital tool for scientists across all kinds of disciplines. Imagine a world where researchers can test hundreds, even thousands of hypotheses in the time it takes them to test just one right now.
That would be a game changer. It would completely transform the pace of scientific discovery.
It would.
But with all this talk about AI revolutionizing research, we also have to consider the potential downsides, right? Like, did the researchers address any ethical concerns?
They did. They acknowledged that there are definitely some risks involved.
Okay.
For example, agent laboratory could be used to generate low-quality research or even misleading research, intentionally or unintentionally. So they really emphasize the need for transparency. Any research that's done with the help of AI should clearly disclose that fact.
Right. Transparency is key,
Yeah.
especially as these lines between human and machine intelligence continue to blur.
Exactly.
Okay, so what does all this mean for, for us, the non-scientists? How could agent laboratory or AI-powered research in general, how could that impact our lives?
That's a great question. It's something that researchers and ethicists are thinking about a lot right now.
Yeah.
It's still early to say for sure, but the potential implications are huge.
Okay.
If AI can really accelerate scientific discovery,
Yeah.
we could see breakthroughs in all kinds of areas: medicine, energy, material science, you name it. Imagine new cures for diseases more efficient renewable energy sources,
Mhm.
even self-healing materials.
It sounds like something out of science fiction,
It does, right.
but it could actually happen.
Yeah, and it could happen sooner than we think.
And it's not just about the big, headline-grabbing discoveries either.
Right?
AI could change the way everyday research is conducted, make it faster, cheaper, more accessible.
Exactly.
That could lead to like a democratization of science
It could.
and a surge in global innovation.
Yeah, definitely.
So we've got this AI reviewer that's giving Agent Laboratory these like glowing reviews, while the human scientists are, a little bit more on the fence. What was the AI actually looking for in these papers? What criteria was it using to judge them?
Well, the AI reviewer was trained on a massive data set of scientific papers from all sorts of disciplines, all different research areas. And it was designed to evaluate several key aspects of a paper, just like a human reviewer would.
So it wasn't just looking for like grammar and spelling.
No, it was much more than that.
It was actually assessing the scientific merit of the work.
Yes,
Ah,
exactly.
okay.
So it was programmed to look at the clarity of the writing, of course,
Yeah.
but also, the significance of the research question, the soundness of the methodology, the quality of the experimental results, how well the paper was presented, and the overall contribution to the field.
It sounds like a pretty thorough evaluation, even by human standard.
It was.
So why the discrepancy then? What were the human reviewers picking up on that the AI might have missed?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
The human reviewers, they felt that. While the AI-generated papers were, technically sound, they just lacked a certain depth of analysis
Right.
and an originality of thought. They weren't seeing that spark of human insight that you
Yeah.
often see in the really great research papers.
So it's kind of like the difference between a student who can, perfectly recite the textbook and a student who can actually apply that knowledge in a
Yeah.
creative and insightful way.
Yes, that's a great analogy.
The AI is still learning.
Right.
It hasn't quite reached that level of sophisticated critical thinking yet. But given how fast AI is developing, it makes you wonder what the future holds.
It does.
Did the researchers, did they offer any thoughts on that?
They did, actually. They were pretty optimistic about the potential of Agent Laboratory.
Okay.
They believe that as AI continues to evolve, Agent Laboratory could become a really, really valuable tool for scientists across all kinds of disciplines. Just imagine a world where researchers can test hundreds, even thousands of hypotheses in the same amount of time it takes them to test just one right now.
Yeah. That would be incredible. It would completely change the pace of scientific discovery.
It would be a game changer for sure.
But of course, with all this talk about AI revolutionizing research, we have to, consider the potential downsides too, right? Like, did the researchers address any ethical concerns?
They did. They acknowledged that there are some risks involved.
Okay.
For instance, Agent Laboratory could be used to generate low-quality research.
Yeah.
Or even misleading research, either intentionally or unintentionally.
Right.
So they really emphasized the need for transparency. Any research that's done with the help of AI should clearly disclose that fact.
Yeah, transparency is absolutely crucial, especially as these lines between human and machine intelligence become more and more blurred.
Exactly.
Okay, so what does all of this mean for, for us, the non-scientists? How could Agent Laboratory or AI-powered research more broadly, how could it impact our lives?
That's a great question, and it's one that researchers and ethicists are wrestling with right now. It's still early days, so it's hard to say for sure.
Right.
But the potential implications are huge.
Right.
If AI can really accelerate scientific discovery, think about the possibilities. We could see breakthroughs in all kinds of areas: medicine, energy, materials, science, you name it.
Yeah.
Imagine, new cures for diseases, more efficient renewable energy sources,
Yeah.
even self-healing materials.
It sounds like something out of science fiction,
I know, right?
but it could actually become reality.
It could.
And it's not just about those, those big headline-grabbing discovery
Yeah.
either. AI could also change the way everyday research is conducted,
Exactly.
make it faster, cheaper, more accessible to scientists around the world.
Yeah, it's really exciting to think about.
Wow, this has been an incredible deep dive. We've gone from like supercharged research assistants
Yeah.
to the future of scientific discovery and all the ethical questions that come with it. My brain is like overflowing with new information right now.
I know, it's a lot to take in. But I think the key takeaway here is that AI is fundamentally changing the landscape of scientific research.
Hmm.
Agent Laboratory is just one example of that.
Okay.
It shows how AI can be used to automate and accelerate discovery.
Yeah.
And it's really important that we stay informed about these developments, that we have thoughtful discussions about the implications, and that we embrace the potential for positive change, while also being aware of the risks.
Well said. Well said. It sounds like we're all going to need to brush up on our AI literacy in the coming years.
I think so.
A huge thanks to our expert for guiding us through this fascinating topic. And to all of you listening out there, we'll leave you with this thought. If AI can really help us do research this quickly and affordably, what kind of world-changing discoveries are waiting for us in the future? Could this be the start of a new scientific revolution? Until next time, keep those brains buzzing.